1 minute. Okay, good morning, everyone. Nice to see everyone. Thank you so much for all the beautiful tefillahs, as always. And so we've had an absolutely remarkable week, if I should say so myself, each speaker as beautiful as the next. And today we have a really amazing speaker. I know her mother really, really well from Toronto. And she is a force. So Eve Levy is currently the co-director of L'Chaim Center for Inspired Living on the North Shore of Chicago. L'Chaim Center is an organization that provides meaningful experiences and content for Jews of all backgrounds. The Outreach Center builds community leaders and empowerment through Torah learning, powerful trips, retreats, and real personal connection. Eve's signature trip is her Poland-Israel journey, but she has also led women's trips to Thailand and Morocco, and of course to Israel. Eve's passion has always been for the Jewish people since she was a young girl living in Calgary, Alberta, when her family was turned on to Judaism by an individual after many decades of little Jewish observance. All four of Eve's grandparents were Holocaust survivors, which has given her direction in her life to make sure that the Jewish people don't just survive, but thrive. Eve's gift is being able to connect to people from all backgrounds and help them see their greatness. She has been involved with many outstanding organizations and initiatives in the Jewish world, such as CORE, Momentum, Mikvah USA. When she is not teaching, she is taking a Zumba class, making challah, or having coffee with a friend. You know, Rebbetzin Tabak speaks about how we are in the generation of the feminine rising. When all of you women who come in every day or listen to the YouTube, when you see every single woman from like all over the world and their bios and the way they speak, you don't even have to hear that someone's saying the feminine is rising. You just have to see the greatness of these Jewish women and what is happening and how each one in her own nakuda, isn't it amazing? In her own nakuda, we have a speaker coming up in a few weeks who she does things through poetry. Like, it is just unbelievable. It is like you're seeing the miracles of Hashem. It's just amazing. So Eve, go ahead. I'm going off.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. Thank you, Naomi, for this opportunity. I think this is maybe my third time coming back on, and every time I get on after davening with you ladies, I don't know, I'm so choked up. I'm usually just drying my tears, trying to pull myself together to croak out a few words, but wow, those 20 minutes, half an hour of davening with you holy ladies, I feel like I was kissed by Malachim. So you guys are the real deal. Thank you. Thank you for what you do every day. Okay. Hi, everybody. So I'm assuming many people on this call are from Israel, living in Israel.
No, it's all over the world.
All over the world. Okay, good, amazing. But for those in Israel and for those all over the world, I just want to say, I think we're all of our hearts are in Israel with you all. And it's always been like that for me. I'm a Jew that, feels that my neshama is most alive in Eretz Yisrael. But for various reasons, I did spend 12 years in Israel, and then for various reasons, our Rebbe, Rabbi Yitzchak Berkowitz, sent us on kind of like on a shlichut, and we've lived in Denver, Colorado for 4 years, Portland, Oregon for 7 years, and now we're in Deerfield, Illinois, which is a suburb of Chicago, and we're basically like one of the only Orthodox families in this community. And it's very far away from Israel, not only in miles, but in values and just in realness. And I'm sure you guys understand what I'm talking about. You know, you could be in one place, but you're not fully there. So I'm here living in this neck of the woods right now because I think that's what Hashem wants of me, to uphold a community here of beautiful Jewish people. But my heart is with you all. Okay. So October 7th happened, and I went from being a functioning person that was running a community to not being able to function very well, not being able to really hold it together so much for my family and my community. And what I found was most helpful was to come to Israel. So Baruch Hashem, I've been able to come twice so far. And I do have 2 more trips planned, not soon enough, because I really want to be there right now. Because when I got to Israel, I experienced the unity of Klal Yisrael. And it was very different from the first trip, which was in November, to the second trip, which was in January. And we all know that at the beginning of this war, nothing mattered. We were all in for the Jewish people. We weren't fighting. We put all of our differences aside, and we were Echad, Bilev, Echad. We were one. And then over time, you know, the news or the words out there on the media is what's going to happen the day after? Like, what's going to happen like after the dust settles? Are we going to be able to keep this level of achdus up? And unfortunately, I mean, those of you living in Israel know more than me that it hasn't been able to be kept up. And that's devastating. So when we move towards Shavuos, and for me, I mean, the first thing I do before every Rosh Chodesh, every Chag, I pull out my trusty, very well-used Book of Our Heritage by Eliyahu Kitov. This is my go-to always to remind me, like, what are we doing? Why are we doing it? Just, it's so practical and real. And on the first page, you know, it talks about all the customs and the names of the month, of the Chag, all the different things, all, you know, all the details. But right there on the first page was my reminder, my reset, what this is all about and what our job is. Yes, it's all about receiving the Torah, but how are we able, how are we zocha to receive the bounty of the Torah, the blessing of the Torah? And right here, first paragraph, it says that when Bnei Yisrael, when the Jewish people encamped around Har Sinai, it says, Vayichan Sham Yisrael neged Hahar, and he camped in the singular, and he camped, but it was the whole Jewish people. It was everyone. It was every single soul, past, present, and future of the Jewish people. But it says it in the singular. And the commentaries go on to say, because we were like one man with one heart. And I believe that we need to get back to that place in order to be zocha, to merit, to really, really merit receiving the Torah. It's only when all of Israel is united by love, by fellowship, peace, and harmony. These are not my words. This is Eliyahu Kitov bringing down all the sages. This is what it is. So easier said than done, it seems like. And I know that in Israel, it's so complex. And I read the news and trying to get the Charedim to join the army and all the different things. And there's so many opinions. And how can we still be one, even though we are so strong, so opinionated, so different and diverse? How can we focus on what unites us and not what separates us? So yesterday, in my preparation for a Torah class that I gave at my L'Chaim Center, I came across a beautiful piece that I have never read before. And I'm going to share it with you now. It's actually in the book, Tzipora Heller's book, Here You Are. And I know she was your speaker, I think this week, maybe yesterday. So in her chapter on the month of Sivan, she shares this mind-blowing idea that she brings down from the Maharal. So before I get to the Maharal's Torah, I'm going to give you the introduction. She's speaking about the power, the mystical power of the number 3. Now, numbers in Judaism are very significant. They're very auspicious. You know, when you have a lot of one number, it usually has a koach to it. So what's the number 3? You know, when we do like, who knows one? You know, I know one. One is Hashem. 2 are the tablet. 3 are the avos. Okay, fine. 3 are the avos. Does anyone know another 3? You guys are welcome to unmute yourselves and scream it out. But over here, she cites a few examples of number 3. 3 is it's a powerful number in Judaism. Moshe was the 3rd child in his family. The Israelites began the 3-day process of preparing themselves to receive the Torah on the 3rd day of Sivan, right? 3rd day. And then it's also in the 3rd month, because we have Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, 3rd month of the year, we receive the Torah. And then the 3rd example that she cites over here is that Hashem divided the Jewish people into 3 categories, 3 groups: Kohen, Levy, and Yisrael. Okay, good. I see Naomi wrote 3 creates a chazaka. That was my favorite one, because when you do something 3 times, it's powerful. It's almost like it sticks, right? We say it's a chazaka. It's a chazaka. When you get something 3 times, someone comes to your house as a Shabbos guest 3 times, it's a chazaka. You're part of the family at this point, right? So we have that. We also have this quote in Judaism. I'm not sure where it is. It's chut hamishulash lo yinatek, right? Very good. Someone texted that a rope that's braided like 3 ropes, 3 strings together, it can't be broken easily. Okay, 3 make a mezumin. Good. There are many, many 3s. We actually brainstormed yesterday in the class, and it was amazing to hear all the 3s from the participants. The Havdalah candle, right? I shared that the Havdalah candle, it makes sense that it's intertwined and it's 3 because we start off Shabbat with 2 separate candles, because we need so much spiritual. We need Hashem. We need spirituality to fill our neshama for that 25-hour period. But by the end of that period, if we've really, really invested into Shabbat, we're not 2 separate candles anymore. We're intertwined and we're strong. Okay, so we have all of these beautiful, beautiful ideas, the braiding of the challah. Like, there's something very strong and powerful in the number 3. Okay, so now we're going to go to this month, the month of Sivan, the month that we get the Torah, and what the Maharal says. So bear with me, I'm just going to read 1 or 2 paragraphs. The Maharal tells us to imagine a link like a chain. Okay, if you're wearing a necklace, right? Little chain, just feel it, okay? Feel it in your hands, like the little links coming together. When you hold it up, the first link touches the second one. The second one touches both the first link and the third one. The third touches the second, but not the first, okay? So it's somewhat disconnected from the first, and yet it's still connected. The third link is the first in the series that doesn't have any connection to the first link. The number 3 symbolizes something new, but not disconnected. Okay, that's what the Maharal says. The Maharal goes on to refer to this quality, which he calls new, but not disconnected, as the Hebrew word nivdal. Nivdal, from the word havdalah or lahavdil. Like, and I don't even know how to describe lahavdil. It's like to make a differentiation. Is that how you would say it? Know me? Anyone? What's lahavdil? It's like slang. Like, you guys use it all the time. Like,
yeah, lahavdil. Like, like I know, right? Like, it's more than the slang is more than differentiation. It's like almost like, right. But it is lahavdil, ben yom v'layla, right?
Like from Havdalah, right? Like, we're making a differentiation between day and night, between the mundane and the holy, right? Okay, so we're going to use that word. This is the word that he brings up. The Maharal uses this word nivdal, new, but not disconnected, which means in Hebrew, and he says separate or transcendent. It is part of a process, but also beyond it. Thus, for example, Moshe, the 3rd child in his family, was connected to the heritage of monotheism that Abraham initiated, but he took it a step further, giving his people a sense of nationhood based on the Torah. The month of Sivan is connected historically to Nisan, even though we have Iyar in between. Nisan, Iyar, Sivan, right? Sivan is connected to Nisan, the month of liberation, but in Sivan, however, the Jews took a step beyond physical freedom. That was Nisan. And they became spiritually autonomous, defined only by the Torah, by Hashem's word, Nivdal. We became Nivdal. We separated ourselves. We unshackled ourselves from the slave mentality, from not really being able to serve Hashem, right? We needed a process between Yetzias Mitzrayim, all the miracles that we saw. Why didn't Hashem just give us the Torah straight away and strike while the iron was hot? Because we weren't ready. We weren't a Kli that was ready to receive the Torah just yet. We needed to go through a process. We needed Nivdal. We needed to become Nivdal, connected but new, part of the process, but also beyond it. So those are the words that are paraphrased by Tzipora Heller, words of the Maharal. This concept of a chain. And I see my mom on this call. Hi, Mom. My mom is Harriet Fleissing. She just made Aliyah this year. She's my biggest role model. Her and my dad, they should just be well and enjoy their Aliyah and be safe. So my mom will remember this memory when I had the first bat mitzvah of my children. We've made bar mitzvahs and bat mitzvahs, Baruch Hashem. We should continue making simchas, everyone should. The first simcha that we made, so my mother, thank God, my parents were there. And at that time, we still had one of my grandparents, my Babi Gutta, who was she was in her 90s, probably mid 90s at the time. And she came from Montreal to Portland, Oregon, where I was living. And my daughter didn't want a lot of speeches, and she, she's all the 12-year-old girls, all the energy and the crafting and the dancing. But I was able to kind of stop the music for just a moment. And what I did was, which was kind of spontaneous, was I saw my grandmother and I said, Bobby, come here. And I brought her up to the front. And then I brought my mother next to her. And then I came next to her and we linked arms. Gonna cry again. And then we called my daughter up, my daughter Miriam, and we invited her to link our arms. And we said, you're part of this chain. We're such a strong chain. It can't be broken. You're part of a chain that goes back generations of strong women. And you're the next link in the chain. And we all know that a chain is only as strongest as its weakest link. And we gave her bracha to be the strongest link in our chain. So this nivdal, this separation, that chain, link number 3 is slightly disconnected from link number 1, but it's new, but it's still connected in a way through our heritage, through our common values, through what holds us together. When I think of this lesson that I read yesterday from Rebbetzin Heller, I just thought of the unity of Klal Yisrael. That if we could see ourselves take a step back, get out of the moment, get out of the heat of the issue that you're fighting, that you can't see eye to eye on. Take a step back and just see the bigger picture. We're all brothers and sisters. We're all one. Ki ish echad Bilev echad. We want to merit peace. We want to bring peace. I tell my ladies, if you want peace in the world, make peace. Make peace in your relationships. Make peace in your home. If you want peace, make peace. Maybe it's as simple as that. It's simple, but it's so complicated, right? I'm going to share a little story with you guys. So I think my entire life, and my mom could tell you if it's otherwise, but my entire life as a girl that grew up in a very wonderful home of parents that became Balei Tshuva when I was a child, and my parents were always growing and learning and taking on more and more, and my siblings and I were just watching and inspired by it and taking steps further and further in. and just it was a beautiful upbringing of growth and learning and curiosity. So I think part of what was always my essence was unity, right? I love people. I love learning about people. And my Zaidi, Alav Shalom, my Zaidi Lipa was a Holocaust survivor that until the last day of his life, he would do Bikur Cholim, he would go from room to room in the hospitals. It didn't matter what kind of Jew. He loved all Jews, Russian Jews, Ethiopian Jews. I remember how he would talk. A Jew was a Jew was a Jew after what he lived through. A Jew was a Jew. And that's really what I took away from my experience with my Zaidi was just unity. We're all one. After what they lived through, it was very clear to them that we're all one. So it was not a big deal that when I did my 23andMe, my testing for, genetic testing, I came out 100% Ashkenazic Jewish. Like it literally said in brackets from the shtetl, like in Yiddish. Like it was kind of boring. I'm like, give me 1% of something interesting. No, I'm 100% Ashkenazi. But it was not a big deal that I married a Moroccan man, half Moroccan, half Tunisian, and even my sister married a Sephardi man. For us, it was normal. A Jew is a Jew. So I'm going to tell you guys an experience that I had that blew me away. Because even though I love unity, I love the Jewish people, I work for the Jewish people, my entire life is devoted, I live in Yehupitzville, to be with the Jewish people and hold their hands and teach them Torah. So I'm really out there in the boondocks here, just holding the Jewish people in my neck of the woods. But this experience blew my mind. I was getting ready to lead a trip. It was a Poland-Israel trip. I think it was in 2018. And people were applying, and I was kind of like sifting through and trying to have a cohesive group. And I'm living in Portland, Oregon. So the women from Portland, if you guys know what Portland means, like the saying is keep Portland weird, or keep Portland Meshuggah, and it's true. It's pretty liberal and out there and woohoo. So I'm getting my Portland ladies signing up, and then out of the blue, I get this application. I get a call from a woman from Borough Park. I think I could share her name here because she loves the story. Her name was Rivka Klein. She's a pretty famous person right now. They've opened organizations in the memory of her oldest daughter, Malki, who passed away of an overdose. And this was within the year of her daughter's passing. And she called me up and she said, hi, like with a very thick Borough Park accent. It's Rivka, and I heard about your trip and I want to come. And I thought to myself, how is this going to work? Like, how is it possible that I could take a Hasidic woman with a thick, heavy accent that comes from a very different world with my Portland ladies? Like, I believe in unity, but maybe this is a little too much. So I said to her, we had a conversation. I said, Rivka, if you could leave your judgment at the door, I'd be willing to consider taking you on this trip. But this trip is, the focus is unity. We're just going to love each other. We're going to focus on what unites us and not what separates us. And she says, Eve, in my past, I would have judged. But after what I went through, how could I judge anyone? And I feel like I need to do this. Okay, so she signs up. She's coming on the trip. Anyway, still in my mind, even with my I love Achdus, I love unity, I'm like the poster child for unity, I'm still nervous. And in my mind, I wanted to keep her away from this other woman. Her name was Tony, a total Portland liberal. I just thought if they get together on the bus, they're not good. There's gonna be some explosion. So I'm, making my scheming in my mind, keeping them in separate places, in separate rooms, separate groups, separate, Anyways, of course, man plans, God laughs. Hashem had a plan. These two found each other. They became very, very close friends. Let's fast forward a couple years. Tony Jaffe is another one of my friends that unfortunately lost a child to an overdose. And she called my husband and I that morning that she found her son not alive. And we ran over. We were with her in those terrible moments. And the first thing she said to me was, please, can you call Rivka? I need Rivka. sometimes we think there's a limit to what we could do, to who we could be, to what we could accept, to how much love we could have for another Jew. We think there's a limit, like at Khan, like I'll accept you, but I'm not going to celebrate you. I'll just keep you at a distance. But that's not one being. Ki ish echad Bilev echad means putting aside our differences and seeing another human being that was created b'tselem Elokim, just like you. You have part of him and he has part of you, and you're all part of one, because there's one Hashem, one Torah, one Jewish people, one. We're all part of the Echad. We're all part of this oneness of the glory of Hashem. I'm going to end with one more thought. Part of my work, my advocacy in the last 7, 8, 9 months for Israel and for the Jewish people has also been supporting all of our community with so many acts of anti-Semitism that are happening here, everywhere. Their kids are suffering on campuses, and this beautiful bubble. We live in a very Jewish community. There's 100,000 Jews on the North Shore of Chicago, and they've never experienced any hardship with their Judaism. No one even knows they're Jewish. They don't look Jewish outwardly. They're just like nice, happy, secular Jews doing their thing, and all of a sudden, they too are being harassed for their Judaism. So that's taken a life of its own, just supporting people through this time and giving them tools. And in one of my classes with our Rebbe, Rabbi Yitzchak Berkowitz, he asked such a simple question: why do people hate us? He says, when you just ask your people that question. He says, ask them, what makes me different? What makes me special? Rabbi Berkowitz reminded us that the word for hatred, anti-Semitism, sin'ah, comes from the word Sinai, Har Sinai. It's the same root. And although there's roots of anti-Semitism from the very, very beginning of the Torah, there was a certain hatred that came around the Jewish people from the time we stood at Har Sinai. And why? It's because at that time, we received our calling. We received our mission statement to teach morality and values to the world, to be a light unto the nations. And people out there can't stand to see us shine. They remind us that we're special, that we're different. If there's anything good that comes out of this, it's that now we are reminded who we are. I've never seen as much Jewish pride as I see now. Even amongst the most secular of Jews, they are standing forward. They are supporting Israel. They're feeling a fire in them. If I had time, I could tell you stories and stories of what women have taken on, the mitzvos they've taken on. We have one, Ben Bias, that kind of moved into our house, that on October 7th, he decided he's going all in. He's been dabbling in Shmira Shabbos, but since October 7th, he's kept every single Shabbos. And we see that again and again and again, because this calling of what makes me different, what makes me special, what am I a part of? What is that chain that I'm connected to? That chut hamishulash that cannot be broken. This strong chain, it can't be broken for us because we know who we come from, and it can't be broken for our children, please God, because they also know it's too strong to break easily. With unity, I feel that although it is the call of the hour, we did it on October 8th. We mobilized the chesed, the incredible initiatives, the love, the outpouring of love. And of course, things wane, they wax and wane. But I know that we could get back to being so strong. And then we could really, really embrace, open our arms, and receive the Torah. Nomi, I think my time is up. Happy to keep going, but I really appreciate it.
It's very, very interesting. First of all, it's so beautiful. You know why you're a unifier and a leader. You see your heart and your neshama when you speak. It's really something. But I have to tell you something, living in Eretz Yisrael and coming back here now, I'm here for a few weeks, and facing what we face in Eretz Yisrael. And, it's almost like anti-Semitism is a gift. It's actually Hashem's gift. Because if we don't have anti-Semitism, on some way, you talked about how we have to lahavdil. We have to create a separation. We have to create a separation, right? And the issue is that what it is that when we forget we're Jews, on every level, we're not just talking about secular Jews, right? We're talking about all Jews, because on some level, we get caught up in the mentality of the Mitzri. We've been living amongst the Mitzri for a very, very long time, and we take on the ways in different ways, right? And like the Yanuka said, we don't scream out. We actually scream out for our own things, but we don't say we've had enough. Bring us geula, right? We say we have Tillim groups for this and we have Tillim groups for that. But how many of us actually say, I don't just want that house. I don't just want my health. I want geula. Because even when we have all those things, we're still in galus and we're still suffering as a nation. And so I think that it's almost Hashem's kiss when he does anti-Semitism, because you defined it. That Rabbi Berkowitz, I think it was, said, what does it mean? Why are we hated? I don't think so much that we're hated. I think so much is that Hashem tries to show us that we're separate, that we are separate, and we're supposed to be separate. And our tafkid in this world is not the tafkid of everybody else. Our tafkid is a very, very deep tafkid. And, I want to bring out one more point. I had like a chiddush. It came to me in the last few days. And, we talk about v'ahavta l'recha kamocha. V'ahavta l'recha kamocha is such a deep concept. It's not just that I'm loving another Jew, or I'm thinking about another Jew this moment. V'ahavta l'recha kamocha is really going to such a place. The essence of it is that, yes, I live my life, but I live my life in the depth of understanding that I'm part of something. I'm part of everybody, and therefore, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it's when we become apathetic, Eve, when we almost accept when we almost accept what is, when we almost accept it, because I understand we're in trauma and it's difficult and everybody has their own sar. Really, it's true, and we've been around for so long. But when we almost accept the status quo, right? When we almost say, it's almost like, I don't even know. I don't want to say what I really is going through my mind. I don't want to say it, right? But what I'm saying is maybe Hashem is showing us, because you can say we've had so much unity, and we've had so much Ahavas Yisrael. So why are we still here? Why are we still facing? And I think because Hashem is showing us even that Ahavas Yisrael and unity is so deep. It's so deep. It's not that surface at the moment I'm going to feel or I'm going to even make peace. It's deep. It's deep. It's that I can sit in somebody else's sorrow. I can not say I can't hear it, that I can get up every day. It's so deep. And, you know, it's deep. And I don't want to, you know, we have hundreds of widows, and we have thousands of boys without limbs. And we have 80,000 people who are living, who are displaced. And we have probably thousands of orphans. And we have, so the question is, what is Avos, you know, maybe this might be, you know, I'm saying things that might be, you know, some people might feel like, you know, what do you mean? But maybe it's really to take a look at ourselves, and to really question, what is my level of Ahavta L'Orecha Kamocha? You know what I mean? Should we do certain things now in our lives and continue on knowing that there's hostages in tunnels? Knowing that, should we be doing things that maybe, you know, should we be taking vacations? I know it's going to be controversial what I'm saying.
Right.
Should we be going on programs?
Right.
Should we be, right? Should everything be toned down now? Everything.
Right.
And maybe that's the level of Ahavas Yisrael that Hashem wants us to have.
Right.
Maybe that's how deep we have to go into ourselves, to really ask ourselves, what is real Ahavas Yisrael?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You know, last night we had a speaker come from Israel, and he shared that he was collecting money for a tzedakah called One Chesed,
right.
And we've sent money and you know, supported so many initiatives. But what we're experiencing right now is something called donor fatigue. Like, it's 243 days into this war. Everyone's they feel like we gave. There's still so many needs. And he shared such a powerful thought, and I'm gonna just share it with you guys. He said he was to this person that said, you know, I already gave, I gave. So he said, you know what, I want to tell you a story about this guy that was in Gaza yesterday. So the person leans in, says, tell me the story. He says, he was fighting in Gaza and he finished his day. And you know what he did the very next day? He said, what? He said, he fought again.
Right.
You think he always feels excited, inspired to
right.
the day after? Some of these boys have been there for 100
months,
days,
months.
Yes. And it just woke up the community. What I saw, I was sitting in the back. I saw that when he shared that story, every single person took out their phone, scanned the QR code, and we're donating money, because we needed that reminder that we can't just say, okay, I did my part. We need to nosei ol b'chavero. We need to carry the yoke of our friend, of our brother. We need the reminders that it's you know, almost like our hearts that have been a little jaded and hardened, and we almost need to numb the pain. So people are, you know, doing things, going on whatever they're doing, whatever they need to do. But I think what you're saying, the real Ahavas Yisrael, is to carry the pain every single moment of it, because we're not okay. If they're not okay, if our boys aren't in there.
Because if we're really one, Eve, then we're one. And you know, this morning I saw a video in one of the Hesder yeshivas. And in this Hesder yeshiva, they were dancing for Yom Yerushalayim, Eve. And in the dancing, talk about wanting to cry. The Rebbes were pushing boys without legs, dancing in a circle that got injured, right? And you see, so the question is, like, we're in this in such a deep way that we really, you know what I mean? Like, what it really is, and I don't know anything, I'm a little person, but if I go to the deepest place in myself, and I know it's not easy, because we're all traumatized, and, you know, our hearts are heavy, and to some degree, our hearts are like stone, because how much can we go through, right? It's a protective mechanism. But I think that we've come to a point in the history of the Jew where we can't go through the same door anymore. We can't. We can't open that door that we had 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 10 years ago. And maybe the avoda is really sit with ourselves and not just have these, feel inspired or go on these trips and go to the Nova and feel inspired, to really sit down. Like, what am I? What is Ahavas Yisrael? What does Hashem really want from me? What is it? That boy who's going to war doesn't have a choice. He can't go shopping or go to a program or do any of those things. He's given it all up. He's given it all up, right? Those widows who are left with children, who are giving birth after without husbands, they don't have an alternative. They can't say, I did my part. They can't. Their part is never going to end. So I think that we are facing a time, and Hashem is not stopping this. And that's the question we all need to ask ourselves. Hashem is not saying, it's over. You all did great. That's it. Right? We're on the next chapter. You all did it. You came to your Kalim.
Long way to go.
Right? Like I spoke to my daughter this morning in Tel Aviv. She said, Ma, there's bombs coming in. There's missiles coming in from the north. She said there's going to go to war with the north. So, so it's that Ahavas Yisrael, Eve, is deep. It's deep.
I think it's the only way to protect ourselves. It's the only way to fix the situation. I mean, we know that it was because of sinas chinam and not getting along with our brothers and sisters that the Beis Hamikdash was destroyed. And in every generation that it's not rebuilt, it's as if we destroyed it. We still need to fix this. As much as we moved the notch so much since this war, there's so much more to go. There's so much
why are we in Galus E for 3,000 years? Isn't it time that we all said, okay, like, what is it? How much more do we want to stay in Galus? It's like the Yanuka said, why aren't we screaming out? How much longer do we want to stay in Galus? We're suffering. Why aren't we screaming out? And those are the questions we have to ask ourselves. Are we somewhat comfortable even within the Tsar? Are we comfortable in this concept of just getting inspired, right? Is inspiration enough? Is the home enough? Is our children getting married enough? Is having grandchildren enough? We need to get out of Galus. Hashem has to take us out of this mud. So the question is, what? What is real Ahavas Yisrael? What is it for each human being, each of us individually? And I think that that's what we need to do. We need to go deep. We need to go deep, each one of us. It's not the trip or going to Poland or seeing and getting that minute. It's how am I going to create a Keli to really understand what that really means? Okay. And I know this can be controversial. You know what I mean? I know what I could be saying is controversial. But I think that's the question.
It seems very big. It's such a big question.
I know.
It's so big that it almost feels like there's no way we could do it. But I would just encourage everyone listening to do one thing today that promotes Ahavas Yisrael. Make one phone call or repair one relationship. And once again, if we want to see peace, we need to make peace. It starts with us and it goes outwards and it all over the world. And this, I think, coming into Shavuos, to stand as one.
With one.
If we could see ourselves, even with the person next to you that looks so different, that acts so different, that you disagree with, to still love that person. It's still your brother. It's still part of Klal Yisrael. We're incomplete without the entire Klal Yisrael. And I know it's so crazy. I've dabbled in Kiruv Krovim, but my heart is definitely with Kiruv Rechokim, probably from my own, the way that my family was makarived. But there's Kiruv Krovim has like a pretty bad rep nowadays. Like we're trying to save the front people that are going off the derech in droves.
Right.
That no one, Kiruv Krovim, Kiruv Rachogim is not. It's almost like it's almost like a lost cause. People feel.
Right.
But the way that I see it from where I'm standing, I'm throwing life jackets to people, and I'm seeing like this is actually probably 85% of Klal Yisrael. It's
right.
There's
right.
millions of Jews that are they don't even know who their father is. I remember,
but Hashem will save them, Eve.
No, listen,
Hashem will do a Naseh v'Nishma moment.
Rabbi
Hashem is going to bring everybody back.
Rabbi Berkowitz.
I don't know if we can. I think our avoda is, like you said, to love and accept and understand that Hashem does the rest. I think that's really, understanding that Hashem is going to do it. Hashem loves his children, and he's going to bring everybody back. I really believe that. I do. I think that Chaya has a question for you. She has her hand raised up for a long time. Go ahead, Chaya. Sorry, I took up a lot of the time.
It was wonderful, very, very inspiring, very encouraging. And I believe, like you believe, Naomi, that each one of us needs to upgrade our chesed and our connection to other Jews, and look for places where we would not have done so, before, to just up it. If everybody ups it a little bit, it's going to be huge, So that's great. My question to Eve is, she mentioned that this is always like a little question I have niggling in my head, that our job is to be the light unto the nations, right? So the problem, yes, we need to all unite, yes, which is what Hashem is showing us, and Hashem is doing us. It's Kibbutz Galios. He's connecting all Jews. They don't even know they're Jewish, and all of a sudden they're getting harassed, right? So we are getting that is happening. We do need to upgrade our own, anti. But I'm wondering, is there anything we could do to diffuse this anger, this craziness? Because if we're supposed to be a light to them, and they're just angry at us, is there any kind of place for that now, or it's too late? I'm just wondering how she feels about that.
I don't think it's ever too late. I don't think it's ever too late. I think
they're so angry, they're so crazy. I mean, but we're supposed to be, instead of just like separating, which is the Havdalah part. Should we be doing something to like, the natural thing would be to call out and say, we're here for you. We just want to help you. We're
talking about
right.
the rest, Jews, or talking about the Gentiles?
The Gentiles. I'm talking about the Gentiles. The Jews should all, we should all put our arms around them, accept them, love them, and just that's it. But for the Gentiles, even for the Gentiles to like not be so, to want them to understand that we're not just here for ourselves.
I thought you were talking Jews and Jews.
No.
I wouldn't even focus on the Gentiles. Like some will take care of them, but we need to do our work within our people.
Right. Well, I see that. I know that. But I'm saying, if we're supposed to be the light unto the nations, is that the light just of being good? Or is there something we can do to diffuse this craziness?
No, the light is us doing what we need. The light is our Torah.
Yeah.
When we stand tall, I once heard a tzaddik say, when a man walks with his eyes down in Yerushalayim, and he was a Hasidic tzaddik, and his payas are down, his kippah, and he walks down. That is the greatest protection of Am Yisrael, because we are identifiably a Jew. We're not ashamed. We are Jews. That's why Hashem is doing this.
So you're saying
when
that
we do that, that's when they respect us.
It's not a physical thing. It's a spiritual thing. We need to be our best selves, and that affects them. It's not like we have to. Like the Lubavitcher hand out Sheva Mitzvahs B'nai Noach cards to the Goyim, like to try to inspire them. Like, is there anything that we're supposed to be doing to be the light?
We need to be identifiably not ashamed. Mm-hmm. We need to live in mitzvahs. Did you guys hear the story that Yoel Gold put out? Did you hear this story?
Which one? Yeah.
So I just want to tell you the story quickly, and then Eve's gonna finish off, and then we're gonna get off. But I just want to tell you. So he interviewed this Israeli from father, whose daughter went off the derech. Did everybody hear this? This is like crazy. His daughter went off the derech, and
from Bnei Brak. Father was from Bnei Brak.
She went off every part of the derech. Okay, The only thing that she kept was her tznius, was her modesty.
Yeah.
So here she didn't keep Shabbos, she didn't keep kosher, she didn't keep anything, but she kept her tznius.
Right.
And which is so remarkable, because you can see the hand of Hashem helping her here. He was saving her, because I think tznius is literally one of the easiest things. I would think it's the first thing that most girls give up, because it feels, I think, the most difficult for most girls.
Yeah.
And anyway, so she wears long sleeves and high necks, and she wears long skirts. Anyway, she gets a call from her friends, and her friends say to her, let's go to the Nova Festival. And she says to her friends, absolutely. And they go to the Nova Festival, and the whole Friday night, they're dancing and singing the whole night. And Shabbos morning comes Simchas Torah, and 6:30 in the morning, and the rockets, 3,000 terrorists came into Israel. Do you understand what a miracle from HaKadosh Baruch Hu this was?
Yep.
People, we talk about the tragedy, which is unspeakable, but 3,000, if it was allowed to go over the country, there would have been thousands and thousands of Yidden. That was the plan, by the way. Rav Dov Kook, all the tzaddikim say that was the plan.
And think about what a shield. They didn't even know there was going to be a party there. Those souls that took on to protect Klal Yisrael, could you imagine what they took on? They didn't know there was going to be a party. They were the blockers of all of us, what we owe them.
Right. Anyways, so she's lying, crouching on the floor, and she's watching all her friends get killed, and she's watching her friends being taken hostage. And all of a sudden, an Arab terrorist walks up to her, must have been Eliyahu Navi, and he says, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? You don't belong here. Look at you. Look at you. Look at your friends. Look at the way you look, and look at your friends. You don't belong here. Leave. And she said, what do you, first of all, she must have thought to herself, the guy's going to kill me, right? And she couldn't believe what she's hearing. And he kept saying to her, leave. You don't belong here. Go. And she said, I can't get out of here. He said, I'm going to take you. I'm going to take you to a place where you can escape. And he takes her to a place by some place, and she gets out. And she escapes. Wow. And she goes home, her father says, and for 1 month she cries from morning till night. She just cries from morning till night, thinking about what happened to all her friends and the hostages and everything. And she has completely made complete tshuva. Wow. Is that the craziest thing?
Yeah. It's really amazing.
Unbelievable. And it's like Rebbetzin Malki Friedman told us. Remember, she said to us, one of the guards said to the girl, don't you know when you're united, when you're together, no one can touch you? An Arab said this to one of the hostages.
One of the hostages, he said, you're so stupid. And she said, why am I stupid? He says, we all know that when you're together, we can't touch you. But when you're at each other, we know we have an in.
Wow.
But I heard something else, I think, Chaya, that would answer a little bit. It says that the Panovich Rebbe by World War II, the Germans were right at the gate, I think Rommel or somebody, and it looked terrifying. And he was very ill, the Panovich Rebbe, and he said, we're building a yeshiva now. And everyone looked at him. They said, Rebbe, now? Like, is this the right time? He said, it's the exact time. And because he declared it on that day and it started, Rommel never got past Egypt, never got into Israel, never happened. So it is Hashem gives that Elev Arecha ve'Elev Asusim. And I think, Naomi, what you touched on earlier, where you're trying to say, we have to remember who we are. We're Hashem's children. We do have a power. No, we're not perfect, but don't give up. Don't give in to the status quo. We have an impact. That's what you're trying to scream from your soul. And I think we just have to not worry about how small we think we are. Not in Hashem's eyes. We're very big. We're very big. We will not in an arrogant way.
Is just the Torah, and that it's not a direct avoda that we have to be soothing and healing for the nations. Is that what you're saying?
We're also we're not supposed to be soothing, and we're supposed to come to our essence. Our essence is godly. To be godly is a very
how
deep
Hashem
thing.
made you, and then you act in that way out in the world. You know, my daughter was walking, she had to go to Manhattan for a doctor's appointment. She dresses put together, but I guess you would, from the world at large, more old-fashioned, right? Old worldly, right? But look,
Yeah.
she's walking with her husband, and she's not the type to notice people, not that type. And she said, first of all, the difference in Manhattan today, she says, what you're seeing on the street, like it's really not for everybody to walk today.
Mhm.
But she said from the lowest, hello, madam, hello, late, just walking on the street from the hello. She didn't say, you understand? They saw something in her and her husband, pleasant, old-fashioned, if you want, but it was not. It was royal from Hashem. You know what I'm saying? And these people that we would say, oh, oy vey, this is low, had huge respect. It was, she said, her husband said, I can't believe it. I walk here every day. Like, it must be because you're a woman, you know, like this happens to women all the time. He didn't, but it was, I said, Vegi, do you see the light? That, because she's not the type, she doesn't look at anyone, you know what I mean? She doesn't attract attention, you know?
Yeah, amazing. Eve, take us out.
Yeah.
Take us out. It's
Okay,
10 o'clock. I
thank
have to get going.
Chaya,
Eve, finish us off. It was amazing. Finish us off.
is Chaya F still on this line?
Yeah,
Your mother?
So Chaya,
Yeah.
for you, I'm going to just finish my thought that I was going to say about what Rabbi Berkowitz told me many years ago, actually. Okay, so this was actually a big pivot in my work, in my own understanding what my job is with Ahavas Yisrael, or bringing people close. I think as someone that graduated from like Ner LeElef and different programs where they train you to go out and do kiruv, I think when I started this professional path, I had an agenda for people. And no one likes to be on your checklist. No one wants, and you feel it. If you have an agenda for someone, it comes across. So a shift that I made probably 10 years ago, I don't remember what year, but I sat with Rabbi Berkowitz. I told him what we're seeing. And he said, Eve, stop trying to make one person from a year. Because that was the mentality of the kollel that I worked at. It was like we were pushing people to take on Shmira Shabbos, and we did, Baruch Hashem. But it was 1 or 2 individuals a year. He said, stop doing that. That's not you. That's not your koach. He said, you should be bringing emunah to the masses. Bring Hashem to people. And the way that I'll translate that for all of us, because we're all doing our thing and just most people are not working in this professionally, unconditional love. Right. The only agenda I have is to love you. That comes across so powerfully, so strongly. This was an inspiration from what's happening in Israel with from Jews bringing packages to secular communities. Like I'm sure you've seen videos, just like kids holding like a challah and a little package, like at a crossroad to a secular kibbutz, let's say. Like we've all saw these beautiful videos that bring us to tears and just the connection. So we did that over here in Chicago. It was Purim. The Frum ladies of West Rogers Park, 40 of them got together and baked and made these beautiful packages and delivered them to my community. Now, there's very little connection. I'd love to bring all the communities together, but they're almost 40 minutes apart, and there's very little overlap. I'm the only overlapping, person in between. I drive my kids back and forth all day to their schools. Wow, I can't even tell you. It was such a small thing. They brought this package with a little magnet that had a quote about Jewish unity. And they said, we are your sisters, with handwritten notes. What do you think the reaction was from my women in my community? They said they made this for us. Most of them started to cry. Many of them are in connection with this person that they've never met 40 minutes away. Right. Emailing them, just feeling a connection that when it's so pure, when the motive is not that I want you to become more like me, but more like, I want to see your light because I know you have a beautiful light. I want to learn about you, and maybe we'll learn from each other. Maybe, but I just see you as a yid. That's it. So the unconditional love, I think that's something that we could all work on, and just starting by bringing peace in our own inner circle that would probably be my takeaway. We have to start small because otherwise it's so big and it almost feels like a mountain that we're never going to be able to climb. But I truly believe that we can climb it. And it should be in good times, not with tragedy that we come together, but in good times that Hashem says, thank you, my children. Finally, you get it. I want this and I want to bless you. So that's how we should all receive the Torah this Shavuos, and every single day we should receive Hashem's Torah, Hashem's bounty with love, with acceptance, and with unconditional love of our brothers and sisters. Thank you so much, Nomi, and everybody.
Wow, Eve, gorgeous. And I got to tell you, Eve,